sessions, and at the sessions, renowned keynote speakers and expert panelists will talk about global trends in artificial intelligence, brand building, digital marketing, and so much more. There will be also an expo area where leading e-export retail companies and service providers in Turkey will showcase their products and services. And during this event, you will have a chance to network and participate in the B2B meetings. Also, at the end, we will have an awards ceremony, which will conclude with recognizing companies in e-export that excel in various categories. Our event will be broadcasted lively by CNBC, and you can see the further details for IGEXX.com. So please join us on September 4th and 5th at the Haliç Congress Center for the Istanbul Global e-Export Summit. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to our panelists. So you can go. Thank you so much for coming, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for IGEXX to invite TMALL Global, Jennifer, and me to give this speech and webinar. And actually today we have the honor to have Jennifer Wan, our General Manager of TMALL Global for Europe, also participating, who will actually give us a brief introduction of Alibaba Group and also TMALL.
Thank you, Angela. Shall we put the slides on? Thank you, and nice to be here, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Today, we would like to tell you more about Alibaba and our business group, TMALL Global. TMALL Global will serve as your gateway to China. My name is Jennifer, and you have Angela also online. Firstly, I would like to tell you a little bit about Alibaba. Look at this small apartment. More than 20 years ago, Alibaba was set up in Hangzhou, actually by this great gentleman, Jack Ma, in the small apartment of his own. He is teaching people, telling people about his ideas of how to set up a global website for global buy, global sell. And 20 years later, you could see that we have hired the whole stadium in Hangzhou, and we're able to celebrate our success with hundreds and thousands of our colleagues. Angela. And Alibaba's mission, as you see that there are a lot of small logos around this globe, and there are also a lot of signs of different cities that we are in. Our mission is to make it easy to do business anywhere. And that is to say, we as a company want to reach for all the merchants in the world and all the consumers. Finally, we want to reach global buy, global sell. In the Alibaba group, a lot of people know different part of our group, but I will explain a little bit in the different business blocks. And on the left side, you can see these are China market apps. So some people know Taobao is an almighty app in China, and TMALL is the B2C group, and TMALL Global belongs to part of TMALL. We do business to consumer, and this we cover the Chinese market, where we are, of course, having a very good position in the Chinese consumer market, e-commerce platforms. And next to that, you can see our international expansion. I think in Turkey, everybody heard of Trendyol. It's also part of the Alibaba group. And some of you have bought things from AliExpress, and some of you maybe have tried to source or sell something on Alibaba.com with my colleagues. So these are the e-commerce groups. And next to that, you could see our cloud service. They are separate business group. Our logistic offerings, China, they are also a separate business group. And also these two business groups, of course, contribute a lot to our daily transactions, and they store our data, they ship our goods. So they are also service provided by Alibaba Group. And next to that, you have the Chinese local service. They have food delivery, they have supermarkets and map services. And finally is our digital media entertainment group. As you know, China does not have Instagram or YouTube, so we are hosting the equivalent apps China only. Next one. So this is our business coverage. And a little bit about TMALL Global. TMALL Global is a B2C cross-border platform, and that's your first step to China. Via this channel, there are a lot of benefits. You can set up your business to the Chinese market. And actually, more than 80% of the international brands talking to us, they use TMALL Global as your first step to China. And till today, still 50% of them are exclusive for TMALL Global. So we have the name in the heart of the Chinese consumer that they can find the best Western product, the newest, and from many, many different nations with us. And on the right-hand side, you could see the number of SKU, SPUs online. We grew from 22 to 24, 5-fold. So our products are coming from 92 different nations, and we host more than 25,000 international brands. People ask me, oh, why do I have to go to China? I am here in Europe. There's so much I can still do. I could go to Germany. I could go to France. Why do I want to go to China? Because here you can see the scale of the Chinese market. In China, there are more than 1.4 billion people, and 1 billion people are active on their mobile phones. So they expect to reach 1.3 billion people on mobile phone in 2036. So you can understand the size of the e-commerce market in China is nothing in any European market we can cover, and you could see that it's more than two times the size of the U.S. e-commerce markets, and not to mention UK, South Korea, Japan, Germany. These are all smaller e-commerce markets. The e-commerce has a huge penetration in China because it's a very big land with a lot of middle-class consumers. They are becoming more powerful. They have more money to spend. They want to have better life. So to have all your physical goods distributed in China is very difficult because they have many, many cities and many counties. So it is much more, it makes more sense to start your business with e-commerce. And I want to tell you a little bit about why cross-border. You say, okay, well, I could go to China. I want to go to China, start from e-commerce, and I want to go to physical stores. Those are the right steps. And Angela will have a slide later to tell you how exactly step by step you can do this. And cross-border is an e-commerce that you firstly do not need any Chinese entity. You can just use your European entity, and you also do not need any Chinese bank account because you will use our payment service to transfer money to your original bank account. So if your bank account is in Turkey, you will receive money in Turkey in the currency you identify. And you do not need a Chinese trademark or Chinese name. You can use your European trademark. If it's in EU or if it's just in Turkey, doesn't matter. European trademark will be enough. And you also will not have to go through any inspections or test of the local Chinese government because your product has not been officially imported by a B2B partner. So these are the benefits to help you to start very fast. This is direct to consumer, D2C. So this may be looking like a lot of information, and this is to just show you between us, the TMALL Global, and our partner, TMALL.com. TMALL.com is local for local. So you need a bank account in China, you need a company in China, you receive all your revenue in Chinese money, and you need to have everything, your trademark, your company, your people, inside China, so you will act as a local foreign company in China. While in the TMALL Global, I just have to explain to you, you can still operate as an external foreign company and sell your product into China. That's a major difference. So we will handle for you. I know you don't know much about China, but we will handle a lot of things for you. Firstly, we will have our Alipay to collect money from the consumer and put it in your account, and you can withdraw from this account anytime you want to your European account in the currency you want. And we can do two different ways of shipping. One is drop shipment to China. It's like consumer order a pair of shoes from Nike US because they want a special color. And Nike in the USA, they say, okay, we will ship these shoes to Jennifer in the Netherlands. And that is cross-border trade because it's individual behavior. I actually import a pair of shoes. So that's how you should see cross-border. It could be a drop shipment out of Europe. You can also, if we know what we're going to sell, and if your product does not have many different sizes, it's also very good and cost saving to put your product already in a bonded warehouse in China, provided by us. Then when consumer order, they also receive a lot faster. And with all these behavior, all these activities, China government charged 9.1% cross-border tax. This tax is duty, VAT, tax, a combination of everything, and it's 9.1% of the sales value. So it's very transparent, very easy to work out. And from here, I would like to let Ângela take it further to tell you more details and something about Chinese consumer, and also maybe where you see possibility, we see some business opportunities. So Ângela, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jennifer. So yeah, before we move on the next steps on how you could actually sell to China through TMALL Global, I wanted to show at least 2 slides for you to see the contrast of the evolution of China in the last 40, 50 years. So I wonder how many of you have been in China in the past or even recently. If you have, for sure you have seen how fast China has changed in the last years compared to US, to Europe, even more. So this is to let you understand who are the consumers that you want to sell. So if you want to go to China because it's a huge market and has huge potential, we really need to know who are our consumers. So you can see in this picture, this is a typical family, let's say in Shanghai in the 80s, where there was still kind of black and white pictures, very traditional, and we can see right now how the consumers or the population are, or at least aim to be. So these are the typical TMALL Global consumers profile. You can see the difference is quite radical. They are much more, they have more personality, they have a different lifestyle, they aim to have overseas lifestyle, they want to have new experiences and try new products. So this is what the consumers are. And this is also why TMALL Global has been helping to connect international brands to the Chinese consumers because they have these demands. So let's see how can we actually connect with these consumers. So to work with us, as Jennifer explained, the main one of the big advantages is the cross-border model, which helped us a lot in all the bureaucracy, all the procedure at the beginning, without really knowing how China market will react to your products and brand, right? So in order to sell to China through TMALL Global, let's summarize these 2 models. So one is the flashy store, typically for a brand. So when a brand is looking to connect with these consumers, you could be opening, let's say, a flashy store your own brand flash store where your products will be stocked in the bonded warehouse in China. So it is in the China territory, let's say, but it's still in the bonded warehouse, so a free trade zone. So you only pay the taxes when you actually sell. So when the final consumer actually buys your product, okay? It is also, as we said, a B2C model. So business to consumer, you sell directly to the consumer at the price that you set. So you would have the total margin of the sales that you generate. And of course, this is a great platform that you can communicate with your consumers. You can define the strategy of the branding, of the marketing, and all the communication and content that you want to transmit to the consumer. So here you have, let's say, more autonomy, but through an easier way to connect with them, which is through the cross-border model. While there's another way that is TMALL, well, let's call TOF. So it's TMALL Overseas Fulfillment, which is also a dropshipping model. In this case, which I'll explain a little bit more in detail later, basically it's like we have our own store in the platform on TMALL, and we purchase the products from you. Could be in a dropshipping or consignment way. So in this case, the warehouse actually is in Europe. We have in different locations in Europe, where you only have to send to our warehouses in Europe, and we take care of all the rest. This is a more B2B2C, so you sell to us, and we are responsible to sell to the consumer. In this case, you could be either a brand or any kind of supplier. So let's say a retail store, a distributor. So it's a little bit more open. In this case, what we want is to amplify the product assortment for the consumers. Plus, in this case, of course, being a B2B2C, TMALL as a platform, we set the pricing, which is different from the flash store. Here, I want to show some examples of Turkish brands that already have flash store in TMALL Global. So for sure, many might be familiar to you, and we can see that there are a few from perfumes, some for cosmetics, also for personal care, hair care. Even we have a Turkish pavilion, so there are different products and in different categories in this pavilion, home products, even health supplements, which is actually now growing a lot. So a few examples so you can feel a little bit more familiar and even use it as a reference in your new experience into China. So going a little bit more deeper, and let me try to go faster. So as I was saying, there's two different ways. One is the flash store. In this case, the brand decides the price, the products shipped to the bonded warehouse. You would be responsible for the marketing, so investing marketing, but also deciding all the strategy of the marketing. And of course, being in Europe, Turkey, and not knowing the Chinese culture or even the language, it's a little bit more difficult, no, to actually operate the brand flash store in China. So in this case, you could hire an e-commerce partner that are based in China. They have experience in e-commerce, in digital marketing, and they would be kind of your Chinese team outsourced in China who will help you with all the execution. Here, I'm not going to go too much deep. Are some costs for opening a flash store. There's a deposit, commission, annual fee for TMALL, and then 1% for Alipay, which is the payment service that Jennifer have mentioned briefly. And also, as you already know, we also have Cainiao, who is our logistic partner, and they also have all the services from warehouse in the bonded warehouse, also the domestic delivery from the warehouse to the final consumer anywhere in China mainland. And even optionally, they have this service to pick up your products in your warehouse in Turkey, for example, and bring it to the warehouse. So it's quite easy on the operational way. The TMALL, together with Alibaba, we offer all these solutions. For the brand side, the main focus is, let's say, understand the consumer and define the marketing strategy. All the rest, we can help you to solve it. Then we have what we call TOF. So in this case, you can see in this map, briefly to explain how being a provider of TMALL Global, being a B2B2C model, let's say that you have one product or one brand in our store. So when the consumer places an order of your product, you who receive the order, you only have to send it to our warehouse in Europe, and then we'll take care of the rest. So the flight to China, the custom service, custom clearance, and then also from China to the final consumer. So in this case, you would provide wholesale retail price, depending on the situation, where you have a little margin and then TMALL has a little bit margin, while the flash store, you have the total margin. And what's next? So after we decide which model we want to use to enter China through TMALL Global, you might ask, what are the next steps? So actually, we always say TMALL Global is a gateway for the brands to China. So it could be like a first step because the entry is much easier. You don't need to register the brand, the products in China, especially in cosmetics, in healthcare. The registration of the products in China is quite long and difficult. So this could be a starting point where you build a brand, you build the brand awareness, you test the market, you get to know better the market and the consumers and see how they react to your brand. And then in the future, so let's say in the medium long term, there's many more opportunities. So let's say that you have entered China through TMALL Global, everything worked out well. You want to expand more the business, so you might want to import the products through general trade. So actually having the Chinese label, passing all the regulations, where you can expand to more channels. In that case, you might also enter to our TMALL.com. So your products will be in China, and you can also be in the TMALL platform, or even other channels within Alibaba, like Hema, TMALL Supermarket, and in the future, even, let's say, what we call now omni-channel. So have in both online and offline channels, and even going beyond Alibaba platforms. Finally, we have given a look on some Turkish brands, and we have seen some opportunities in our opinion. And this, of course, is just references, so is not limited to these products, okay? So from one side, in the food sector, we see, for example, saffron or honey, or even dry fruits that has potential. Some already are even selling in China, so the sales are pretty good. So for example, honey, we know that honey has supermarket honey and the authentic honey. So the authentic honey in China is considered nutrition. So health is kind of health supplement. So it has a bigger value than sometimes we consider in Europe. Well, saffron, we don't need to say, I think it's getting popular worldwide. So these are some of demands already in China, or trends, let's say, and that we might probably find in some of your brands and companies. Also, another opportunity could be the sweets. So Turkish delights are very famous worldwide. Even some chocolates, especially if they come in good packagings or cute packagings for gifting. Gifting in China is also quite popular. They take it quite seriously. Then also the milk dairy products. So either goat milk, cow milk, these are some kind of milks that are not so common, but has gained a lot of popularity in China. So not only milk, so milk powder is also very famous in China, or milk with different functionalities. But even as I was saying, this kind of milk from different animals that doesn't come only from cow. Or for example, Turkish ice cream. So actually we have all the logistics solutions for ice cream. So low temperature warehouse, low temperature shipping. So that is totally possible. So for those that you might feel a little bit more limited, usually don't feel it with TMALL. Then we also have some teas, coffee, and chocolate are also some trends in China for European brands. It works quite well. And then olive oil or any kind of oil, or let's say healthy oil, it's also very welcome. So in China, more and more people are taking health and eating more healthy seriously, especially after COVID, but even before COVID. So we all know there are some oils that are not so healthy and some oils that are more healthy. And the ones that are healthy, you can even sell with a little bit higher price than the not so healthy oil. So that is also advantages for the business. Then we also saw that there are some snacks and candies. This one, for example, we search on our platform for just snacks. Actually, we looked for Russian.
Those are Russian candies. They
Yes.
are very popular. They are, you might think Chinese people, they must have a lot of sweets, but they also appreciate any snack from the international marketplace because it's something they don't have at home. So snacks are very welcome in
And you
China.
can, yeah, we added here in the big numbers. So numbers, you can understand everything is in Chinese in the platform, but the numbers we can all understand. Where you see 100K plus, 200K plus, these are the orders per SKU of each SKU. And you can see they are pretty much the same SKU, but in different links. So this is how big the potential of the Chinese consumers. Then we also have some opportunities, of course, for beauty category. It was always one of the biggest and main categories among the Chinese consumers. And well, we know, or many people know, even Chinese people already know, the rose extract has many different advantages for our skin, and this could be a possibility. Actually, they are already a couple of Turkish brands selling these kind of products in TMALL Global. So it could be cosmetic, could be perfume. So this is something that in China there isn't, or at least they know that in Europe or some specific countries of Europe has better quality ingredients. Then, of course, boutique perfumes or even spa luxury experiences. So Chinese consumers are, of course, everybody likes discounts, but they are willing to pay for whatever they like. So even products that are luxurious, even though the price is higher, it doesn't mean that it's going to not sell so well. Quite the opposite, actually. And we have many different showcases sometimes the more expensive, the more they want. So don't feel afraid of that. And then also within cosmetics, something that has been a big trend is ingredient-driven cosmetics. So consumers want to know and they care about the ingredients behind what they use. And they actually are very informed about what kind of ingredients give what kind of functions. So this is something that if you have it, it's something that is welcomed. And then finally, so we can finally finish, it's the hair care. So hair care has been also one of the big trends in China, and within hair care, anti-hair loss as well. And it started from, let's say, products that you use outside, so shampoos, but also masks. Even now, it's trendy, the supplements to help anti-hair loss. And now this year, a big boom is the minoxidil. So for example, this is an example of something very extreme, how this problem is so big in China. Minoxidil is actually an OTC, so it's a medicine, but the efficiency is much bigger. And it's something that has been quite trendy this year. So here are some examples of the opportunities. I don't know if Jennifer wants to add something else.
I will add that we are here. So our team, the team of me and Angela all together, we are in many different European locations, and we actually have people who speak the local language. You can maybe hear from Angela. She is actually Portuguese. She's born in Portugal and she speaks Portuguese. So we have a lot of many capable people, and in the European time zone, waiting to work with you. And unlike our other competitors who might only operate out of China, we are here for you to do things together and to partner up for your journey to China. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll leave here our contact in case you have any doubts afterwards. You can do a print screen or a photo. You have the email, or you can also find us on LinkedIn for sure. Thank you so much.
Sarenaz, it's going back to you.
Thank you so much for this eye-opening presentation, I would say, because there's this China we know and heard of, and there's this China, how it works and how actually it opens its doors to different companies from all over the world. So thank you so much again. I would like to start with my questions. So you've talked about, it's really easy to enter the China through TMALL Global, and you said that it's not mandatory to have a Chinese entity and a Europe entity is okay. But I wonder, is it just Europe entity or a Turkish entity is also acceptable by TMALL Global?
I will take the first question. Yes, Turkey entity is also possible. So our limitation is not subject to which country we will work with or not. It's actually your bank. We have to make sure, and as you know, it is not the most convenient to take the earnings out of China. So a lot of foreign investment, they actually have to have different structure of the company in order to enjoy the Chinese earnings, or a lot of them reinvest in China to become a bigger company. But in this particular small case that when we try to go to China to do business, is subject to if your bank is working with our bank to get the money back in Turkey. So yes, the answer is yes. We are able to work with Turkey directly, and you can receive the money back in your bank account, not in the Chinese currency, but in the international currency, including the Turkish lira.
And I wonder if there are any important steps that should be specifically paid attention to during this process.
Angela, maybe you can take the second one. Maybe Angela didn't.
It cut it a little bit, but I understood the question regarding the taxes, right?
Yeah, in general, actually, is there any important steps when opening a store in TMALL Global as a Turkish company with Turkish bank account, for instance?
Important steps to open a bank account.
No, important steps to open a store in TMALL Global Marketplace.
Oh, okay, to create
as a
an
Turkish
account
entity. Yeah.
in TMALL, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, when we decide to create a flashy store, let's say in TMALL Global, so let's take that we choose that business model, we would have to create 3 accounts. One is TMALL Global, which is the platform where the traffic is and where the store would be created or built, and the brands will connect with the consumers. Another is Alipay, which is the payment service, and which Jennifer just explained. So that would be connecting the brand's bank accounts with the Chinese consumer. So when the consumer pays for any order, they will transfer directly to this Alipay account created by the Turkish brand and would be connected with the Turkish bank. So that's the second second account. And the third is TMALL, which is our logistic system or service, and where it will be traceable, where the stock will be from the beginning till the hands of the consumer. And the consumer will always know where to find it or to know how long it will take. So these are the main steps to do it. Of course, we'll have our team to help with all the procedure, with all the documents that are necessary to make that happen. This could take from 1 to 2 months, more or less, including already the shipping, because once we have these 3 accounts created, we will bound them together. And once the product arrives to the bonded warehouse is when we can actually go alive with the store. So that takes more or less 1 to 2 months.
Okay, thank you very much. And once we open the store, and considering China is an e-commerce giant, so that means there are a lot of competition for our Turkish companies. And how can Turkish companies can differentiate themselves? For instance, what should product or images or descriptions should look like? And if you have any tips for proper categorization and labeling, that would be great.
I will answer this. So every country has some specialties. What we are showing is what we think and see already. The Turkish has some special products, but it can also be, for instance, general product like cosmetics. Every country has their own cosmetic and nice brands, and some brands are more special than others. So the best is to contact us, make an evaluation of your product, and we will look at the competition and tell you that what would be the possible path for you in China. So tailor-made brand evaluation is a free service from us. It does take some time, but we will help you to understand what is there, what we think of your product. And finally, to make it very successful, it's not subject to us, because we are working for platform. You need to have a good local partner. They either manage your e-commerce platform or they are your distribution partner. They will try to help to sell the product.
And is there a limit to product images or descriptions on your marketplace? For instance, is there a certain limit of pictures of the product and certain limit of character or words limits when we listing the products?
We actually, if you look at the Chinese platform, they typically have a lot more information than Western platform, because people really read through what they are buying. So we have a lot of detailed pages. If we have a basic minimum 6 picture per link per product that you have to show your product. And there are much more you can do. There is no up limit. And you can explain as much as you want to. And actually, the picture quality in China is very good on the products.
Thank you. And you talked about there are products that are actually selling really nicely on the platform, such as dairy products, perfumes, cosmetics, etc. But are there any prohibited products or are there any products that require documentation for sale on your marketplace platform?
Angela, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So most of the products that are sellable in Europe, we could say that you can sell to China. So whenever it goes according to the local, so either Turkish or European regulation, we can sell to China. Of course, there are a few limitations. So for example, in the food sector, everything that has fresh meats is quite limited. So can be red meat, can be fish, or any kind of this kind of meats. And then within, for example, healthcare, there are some, so we can sell food supplements, medical device, and OTC. So it's medicine without subscription, but medicine with subscription is not allowed, which we believe is not allowed anywhere because it needs a subscription from the doctor. But of course, compared with a food supplement, medical device, and OTC would require some special documents, such as medical license and also the insurance, including China. These are some examples of limits. Then within, for example, cosmetics, right now there are some ingredients that are forbidden as well, such as the CBD oil, so it's the cannabis extract. So they are specific ingredients that it will depend on the Chinese regulation. But right now, they are quite, I would say that most of the products are sellable. But of course, whatever brand is interested, we can, of course, help at the beginning stage to inform that.
And how should companies handle product pricing and inventory management? Do you provide any services towards that?
Should I or okay? So actually, as we explained in the presentation, the pricing in this case will depend on the brand. So the brand has the rights and the decision power in deciding their pricing strategy. What we suggest as a very basic standard is to be similar to your local price. Of course, you can add maybe a little bit because at the end, selling to China, adding the logistic cost, it might be more expensive a little bit. So we could say that we can use the local final price as reference, and maybe you can add like a 10% extra for covering some costs. But of course, it doesn't need to be always exactly the same as the local. So that will depend also strategically what the brand wants to target the brand in China. So what is the brand positioning? Do I want to target in the higher positioning, in the lower? Of course, we also suggest to compare with other similar brand or similar products in China already to see what are the unique selling points compared with other brands, and then define it. But of course, we also mentioned that when a brand wants to go to China, they would hire this partner in China who will help to do all the operations to execute the strategic plan in China, and they will help to define all the strategies, so the pricing, also to create contents if it's different and if it's needed. So that is something that case by case we can see which price is fitting better.
Thank you. And you also mentioned that you have a logistics partner. Is this partner covers all the fulfillment services, or is it just is a limited service? And is TMALL Global works with third-party logistics partners as well?
We work actually with our sister company called TMALL, and TMALL is working with all the logistic partners. They are also a logistic platform. But for us and for you, for the merchants working with us, it is just TMALL. So we have one window of services via another company, and how they will manage the logistic, you don't have to worry about.
Thank you. And when a Turkish company wants to send a product to China, what they should pay attention to in terms of cargo and logistics or custom processes in general?
There are a lot of things we always evaluate. For instance, some packagings are very easily destroyed. They are made for European distribution, so they are good enough to go through the road trucks in Europe and go through the pallets. But shipping to China, you need a different strength. So we would always advise if our customer have different packagings to take the stronger package, and if not, there can potentially be more damage happen. But a lot of products for the first several batch are anyway shipped by air, so we will test the strengths over there.
Great. And once we set the product, how are the orders tracked and communication with customers ensured by TMALL Global?
If there are two ways of working together, remember, we just mentioned one is you have your own store, then you have an e-commerce company to manage these logistic questions and product questions and handle the request. And if not, we are the seller. If we are buying from the companies we work with, the merchants from Turkey, then we will be answering their question and filling the logistic answers. So there are two, depending on who owns the products, there are two different ways we handle. And if it's a merchant themselves from Turkey, then they have the e-commerce company to handle everything.
And you mentioned that there are very different types of Turkish companies on your platform. And what is your category-based experience for shipments from Turkey?
We don't have so much opportunity with Turkey yet, and I think we touched on this before COVID, and we were gonna do something quite big, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and we're now recovering from 4 or 5 years ago, and there was a lot of initiative, and we should revisit those initiatives. At this moment, I think it's not what Turkey can do is what China can do. So you don't have to tell me what you have. Is actually asking what Chinese consumer like to buy. If they like to buy Turkish dry fruit, they want to take supplement, and in Turkey for sure you have good options available for Chinese consumer. And if they want to still do some more cosmetic, you have the best offering. You have different roses from Chinese roses. So they are, we have to look at what Chinese customer like to buy, and based on that, motivate the Turkish company to go a step forward. So for instance, Turkey and China really have quite a lot of overlapping in their capabilities. So if you talk about making very good but fair price textile product, that's exactly what China also do. Then that will not promote to spend a lot of effort to make similar products that China can do it cheaper. But specialized food, different branding, supplement, cosmetics, mother and baby, these things, the special things are maybe having more interest.
Thank you. And you also mentioned that you know, Turkish companies or like any company doesn't have to do a lot. You can just send the products to your bonded warehouse in Europe. And for new starters, maybe a bonded warehouse may not mean anything. So can you please explain what a bonded warehouse is and where are they located in Europe?
We have at this moment in Europe, since we are European Union operating, I have to check how we can work with Turkey. Then if we really have good size of business, we can also, of course, set up similar things in Turkey. Now in Europe, we are very active out of Germany, France, and the Netherlands, because these countries, they have the best logistics service. and also Italy. And outside of EU, the Europe zone, UK we also work directly with. So if the Turkish business is big and we have the volume, we can also operate out of Turkey. At this moment, as it seems, you have to move the product to one of our European hub.
Yeah, so
And-
actually there are two models. So for the brand flagship store, the bundle warehouse is in China. We have many different in different regions in China. And then for the second model, which is the TOF, where our warehouses are in Europe, is where Jennifer has mentioned we already have 5 within Europe. So depending on the model, we have in Europe or in China.
Thank you. And when it comes to return processes, which is something that is not so desired, neither by the marketplace or the seller or even the customer. And how long is the return period for customers, and what are the steps for product return processes?
Angela, you want to take that one?
Okay, so regarding returns, depends on the category of the products. The percentage of return is higher or bigger. So for example, for fashion, it might be always higher, and while for cosmetics or food is lower. So here will also depend on the brand. So the brand can decide, I want to have 0% of returns. So they can say, I don't allow returns. Of course, unless there are some extreme cases like the product is damaged or it has some defects, whatever. So that is another case. But if it's just because they regretted to buy it, you can define how much you want the consumer to return. From the other side, it's also part of the custom service, which is provided by this e-commerce partner to communicate with the consumer, to understand the reason why they're returning and how you deal with it. So for example, if returning one product that the price is low, it's too expensive, you can actually just say, okay, I return you the money, but you don't need to return the product. Otherwise, you have another cost of returning. So here, depending really on the type of the product, you can deal with different ways. If it really returns, it can go to actually a warehouse that is in China because, well, all the bundle warehouses are in China. And there's one rule that is, let's say that this product is returned, the next consumer that buys the same product will send that product first to the next buyer. So that's another solution. So there are different ways depending on the case by case.
Thank you. And about your marketplace, you actually offer a lot of help for companies to start a store and start selling, and you don't actually expect that much, which is really great for the newcomers of the Chinese market. And you give a lot of information during the webinar, which is really valuable. So thank you again. I wonder if there is a specialized guides and resources available for sellers.
As I say, we are already 8 years in the business in Europe. Out of Europe, we operate already more than 8 years. So we have a lot of expertise. The guidebook, we don't have one guidebook, but there are operations instructions once you start to work with us. But I think your question will be much more related to before you really start to work with us. So before you become a merchant, register with us, before you pay, there is a place you come with a lot of questions. And I think we are able to answer them. And a lot of products are not easy in China. I think we will also honestly tell you we are already oversupplied in this sector. And we will not suggest you to come to China at this moment, unless your product is in the totally different segment that we can sell them. So to give any example, for instance, if your olive oil has no specialty and has no special taste, no special price, no special package, and no story, no brand story, how special this is from your family farm, or if there is nothing special of your product, they are enough. Olive oil in China, you don't have to ship them the whole way here. That's something I will say. But if your olive oil is only making 1,000 bottles a year, super special, handcraft, taste totally different, only used in the 5-star hotel or the Michelin, that's another story. Then we're selling 500 a bottle instead of €5 a bottle. So there are cases, it's difficult to generalize what works, what not. Even a block of soap can be 500 or €5. So in that case, we just like to offer a small talk with your company, understand what you have, and maybe give you some basic information where you can go. On top of that, we also help company to find distributor. This is free, but it's not very effective. I cannot say, oh, within 3 months, within 1 month, I'll find you a distributor who buy your product from China. That's not what I say, but we have a ecosystem, a network where will help you, because sometimes for European company, including the Turkish company, it's very difficult to understand what happens in China. You are not fast enough. You don't understand how people perceive things. If we can find for you, for the company, for Turkish company, a distributor, it will be just a lot easier. But it's something we try. We are not always successful. People pick what they want to do, but we are able to do that for you, also free of charge.
So thank you. That was actually my second question. So I wonder, you mentioned that we help you to find distributor, or there are some e-commerce companies that will help you to sell your products or listing for the content, etc. Are there certain companies or partners that TMALL Global works with, and can Turkish companies actually reach out to them and help them to enter the China market?
No, so there are two style. One side is just to provide your service, and they charge you for the service. They are, of course, hundreds of them. But if I will send them to your merchants, they will be bothered all day long because they just want to charge your service, right? They talk about good stories, how capable they are, but they are service providers. And we don't want to do that. If we do that for you, we will limit to 3 to 5 that partners we know well, or in your field, very successful in olive oil, in soap, in beauty. We want to know where they are successful and introduce to you. That's in the case you hire a service provider. But in the case of finding distributor, we want you to make a very good product presentation, company presentation. And if you can spend some money to translate your information into Chinese, then we will send them to all our partners, and the partners who want to work with you, they are interested in your product, want to understand more, we can just make an email or any kind of communication, or even join you for a call together to help you to understand each other. So that's what we do. But of course, they are also picky. They also think what they want to do, and that changes all the time. Sometimes this is good and sometimes that is good. So I would say it's not a big investment. Make a beautiful presentation, even make it in Chinese. It doesn't hurt you, and we will send to the people we know.
Okay, thank you so much. And as we
just adding.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Of course, yeah, please.
No, just wanted to add something, basically answering to your question and adding to Jennifer's reply. Actually, finding a partner, it's kind of like finding a wife or husband. I always say that, because depending on the time, depending on requirements, you match or not. So here, what we can do is to help matching a few, to introduce the brand, to introduce the partner. But at the end, the partner has to like the brand, and the brand has to like the partner. So we can do the matching, but then it's up to the brand and the partner to really feel if there's any chemistry. So there's no perfect partner, but it's trying to find a suitable for you right now. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think that kind of sums up the process. And
we are saying if your marriage is not working out, we are not liable. No, sometimes it's a lot also about your buying price, your supply, how fast can you resupply, and chemistry, you know, a lot to do with chemistry and the long-term relationship. So we hope people work it out, but it's not always what you wish.
Yeah, thank you so much. And before we actually end this webinar, we are having Jennifer with us at the IGEXX, which is very exciting.
Also, Angela is also
Oh,
coming.
great. That is more than glad. So what are your recommendations for companies that will attend IGEXX and will meet you during your B2B meeting?
Actually, the most important for us is to make a quick judgment of the product, and we can give you a few direction. And sometimes we see the products are not very special, or we have already a lot of supply. We will give you some new ideas and new selections, new suggestions for you to go if you're interested. So the best is to explain your product in a good way. Then we can make a very fast link and judgment. Angela?
Yeah, maybe even sometimes clients likes to bring some samples so we can touch, we can smell, or whatever. That can also help. But I think the most important, as Jennifer was saying, is to be clear what kind of product you have. What do you think is the unique selling point of your product? Why is it better than others? Why is it different? Even if you want to come already prepared with some competitor brands that you consider, so we can use it as a reference, that can also help. I think also replying to your previous question, if there's any guidance, I think at the end it's a lot of case by case. The team of TMALL is here to help giving that first judgment, and sometimes it's difficult to have a guide because China is always changing. So even if today we say olive oil is on demand, maybe in half a year it's not anymore. So it will really depend. So I think that would be a good opportunity to meet whoever is interested in China and use our time there to get that first evaluation.
Thank you so much. So please join us on the 4th and 5th of September at the Heritage Congress Center. Bring your products that we can experience, and hopefully there will be some chemistry during the B2B meetings, and it will be a good match, hopefully. So thank you so much for joining us today, and good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.